Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. I am your host, Francie, and today we're talking Polestar. If you don't know about Polestar, today you'll learn a little bit about it, specifically the Polestar 3 being built in the US. Polestar has confirmed that they have started producing their new luxury electric SUV, the Polestar 3, at their plant in Ridgeville, South Carolina. This is the Volvo plant that currently produces the EX90 and the S60. And Polestar says, built by Volvo, the Ridgeville factory has been adapted to meet our specific needs, underscoring the strength of our collaboration. So, this is pretty good news for US production of Polestar to help sell to US customers as well, and also avoid those hefty Chinese tariffs. So, let's get into the details about the production of this EV, the specs, and what this means for not only Polestar, but also Volvo. Let's plug in. This episode is made possible by the support we get from Fort Collins Kia. If you are in the market for any electric Kia, not only do they never add market adjustments, they will deliver your car to you anywhere in the 48 contiguous states for out-of-spec viewers. More information in the link in the show notes. All right, everybody. Like I said, we are talking about the Polestar 3. So if you don't know about this car, uh, we're going to tell you about it. And now, most significantly, is that it's going to be manufactured in the US, which is not necessarily super common for Polestar or Volvo they both have a presence in China and Chinese manufacturing. So the Polestar 3, let's talk about some specs so you get a good idea because it is an SUV. As they say, it drives like a sports car. So Polestar 3 has a 250 kilowatt max charging speed. It has two liquid cooled 180 kilowatt permanent magnet motors, air suspension, and a rear motor disconnect clutch. This can disengage the rear motor for efficiency when cruising on the highway. It has a long range dual motor option. So this is a 315-mile EPA estimated range for this EV at a 360 kilowatt motor at 489 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, and an MSRP of around $73,000. That is pretty expensive. They have a lease option advertised here on their website for about $800 a month. But being built in the US should help with a lot of the pricing, potentially with the tax incentives that are offered not only at the federal level, but also at the state level. They also have the long range dual motor with performance pack option. This is a software unlock. So this is a 279-mile estimated EPA range for the long range dual motor with the performance pack. It has a 380 kilowatt motor at a 410 horsepower spec, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, just shave a little bit off the top there, and an MSRP of around $79,000 as well. So the battery size for this is the same in both versions. It's 111 kilowatt hours gross, so total in both versions of the Polestar 3. It has a 400 volt EV architecture too. So these should be built with LiDAR, unlike the Chinese car. So what is kind of significant here about the LiDAR, we'll talk about it because what is LiDAR really? But the Polestar 3 can be optioned with LiDAR. This is a technology that uses a laser light to measure distances and create a detailed 3D map of the environment around the car. So Polestar says that this technology can be used for not only advancing the car's driver's assistance capabilities, but this is also featured as a safety feature for sure. And like I said, this is unlike the Chinese car. So this is a differentiator between what cars are produced in China and what are produced in the US. One of the advantages of LiDAR technology, I'm sure you can imagine what those are right now, but this is that it does not rely on ambient light to function. So LiDAR uses these laser pulses to measure distances by timing how long it takes for the light to be reflected off of objects and return to the sensor. So almost like echolocation, but with lasers. So because it uses laser light, LiDAR can operate effectively both in daylight and complete darkness. We have seen some assistance systems that turn off if the lighting outside is wrong, if the sun's too bright, if it's too dark out, if there's abrupt changes in light. But LiDAR kind of avoids that by using the lasers instead of the needing to use light. So they use the LiDAR from the company Luminar as well, in case you were curious. So there is a launch edition of the Polestar 3. So it gives you some standard equipment. So we'll go over to the specs now, and this is all available on their website, of course, and we will have them linked in the show notes if you are tuning in on YouTube or if I'm just in your ears this morning on your drive to work or something. We can compare here on their website the launch edition versus, maybe your customized Polestar 3 or basically not the launch edition option. So there are highlights, there are options and aspects of the launch version that come with it and come with that price tag as well. This one says it's starting at $78,000 MSRP versus a $73,000 MSRP. But when I also looked into the available cars, for instance, this one that I was looking at, this is a launch edition. It is around $83,000 MSRP, and it says a delivery date available in early September. So back to comparing these different amenities, these different equipment in the launch version. So if you're going to get the launch edition, then for comfort, you're going to get a heated steering wheel, rear seats and wiper blades, all heated, air particle filter, a power operated steering column, soft closed doors, for upholstery and deco, wool or microtech with aluminum deco, an infrared windscreen, privacy rear windows, 21-inch plus wheels. Driver's assistance systems that are included are pilot assist, lane change assist, heads-up display, 360 camera views with 3D view. And as I'm reading these, you can see these on the side. These were all listed as available as upgrades. The wheels for the long-range dual motor not in launch version are 20-inch aero wheels. Going on to the audio, that is included with the launch edition, you get Bowers and Wilkins for Polestar speakers, 3D surround sound, Dolby Atmos, and headrest speakers. Interesting. All available as upgrade. For performance, this is included in both. It's the same in the launch edition and non-launch editions of the Polestar 3. Dynamic chassis, Brembo brakes with Swedish gold brake calipers, active air suspension, true torque vectoring on rear axle, and rear motor disconnect clutch. As you can see here, a lot of the specs are the same. It's just those additional driver's assistance systems, upholstery, comfort, windows, wheels, audio options that are coming with launch that are built into the higher MSRP and the launch edition generally. But if those are kind of like you definitely want them, then you might as well go with the launch edition and get them instead of paying to upgrade them later. But of course, that is to each their own. This also does beg a little bit of the question of, okay, what does this mean for the EX90? So similar to the Polestar 3, the EX90 can be optioned with LiDAR, and both of these cars are built on the SPA2 Scalable Product Architecture 2 platform. So this is Volvo's own platform. So first of all, Volvo is aiming their offering for the EX90 SUV that we are looking at here at a safety first and family first audience. Not super weird for Volvo, that tracks pretty well. The EX90 has a limited top speed of 111 miles per hour, while the Polestar will get you up to 130 miles per hour. So that is kind of why we're bringing this up. This does mean stuff for Volvo as well, because now we have both of these being manufactured on the same American soil. Now, here on the map, for anyone wanting a little geography lesson, we've got Charleston, South Carolina over here on the eastern coast of the US. And up here is Ridgeville, where that manufacturing plant is. So it is significant that these are both being built in America. So back to the EX90 SUV for some specs on this one. This is an old article, well, not really that old, from June 25th, 2024. The fully electric EX90 SUV is now in production. They said that they are in a celebratory mood as their factory outside of Charleston, South Carolina, has now started building their new fully electric flagship SUV, the EX90. Of course, we know that Volvo has had a little bit of trouble with the software on their EVs as of late. Check out the out of spec reviews videos for that to get all of the details. But of course, we're hoping that they can recover. So the specs for the EX90 include it has a 250 kilowatt max charging speed. It has the twin motor option, 296 mile of EPA estimated range, 300 kilowatt and 402 horsepower motors, uh, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, and about $80,000 MSRP. For the twin motor performance option, there is a 296 miles EPA estimated range, a 380 kilowatt and 510 horsepower motor, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, and a little bit of a higher MSRP at over $81,000 starting. The battery size is 111 kilowatt hour gross in both versions, 400 volt architecture, and similar to the Polestar, the EX90 can be optioned with LiDAR, Volvo says. LiDAR equipped, they go on to say, LiDAR equipped on early production vehicles will begin in data collection mode, and over time, the technological capabilities of the LiDAR will expand to include additional sensing scenarios as part of our safe space technology, including ability to detect objects in darkness at highway speeds up to 820 feet ahead. So you might be thinking, okay, do I choose a Polestar 3 from a newer automaker, not exactly sure where they're at, or do I choose an EX90 Volvo SUV, well-known automaker that has been around forever, and they are linked. The companies have been linked. They're both Geely linked as well, and Volvo was an investor, a funder of Polestar. So what's the difference? So I talked a little bit about, the Volvo doesn't necessarily go as fast as the Polestar if you want it to. Let's get into more of those details. So the Polestar 3 is designed with a sportier driving experience in mind. As they say, it's an SUV that drives like a sports car. That's how they're advertising it. It offers a higher performance variant with more power from the electric motors and a sport-tuned suspension that caters to those who really like a performance driving option, even if they're not always driving that way. The EX90 is likely more for comfort, tuned for comfort, and will offer different materials and an interior look, of course. I think that they do have similar designs, and I like both how Volvo designs things and Polestar designs things, so I can see the overlap as well as the distinctions. But both have the same wheelbase. The EX90 is physically longer, and it allows for one or two more seats than the Polestar 3. So it can be a 7-row, 3-row, or not 7-row, it's not a huge van, but a 7-seater SUV versus the Polestar, which is more of a 5-seater. So the Polestar 3 is cheaper. It has a lower starting price, which is cool to see from a startup automaker in a way. But both run an Android Auto Automotive OS operating system, which looks to be quite responsive and featureful from first impressions, though, of course, there have been some software issues with Volvo so far. We're hoping to see more of those resolved. Charging does seem to be interesting. They both are claiming 250 peak kilowatt charging speeds on a 400 volt system, which typically means more than 500 amp charging, if you want to get into that. So amperage times voltage equals kilowatts. And this is something that we have seen Tesla do in an extreme degree, really, when it comes to their EVs. It also might be that Polestar and Volvo have a slightly higher voltage than other 400 volt class vehicles. But of course, we're going to have to get into testing to see more about that. Both can be optioned with a Bowers and Wilkins sound system, so that doesn't different. That's not too different between them. And both of these cars seem like great choices with some overlap. So to kind of sum it up, the Polestar 5-seater, EX90 6 or 7-seater, the tow pound, if you want to tow, the Polestar 3 has about 3,500 pounds expected. The EX90, 4,850 pounds expected. The cargo room in the Polestar 3 is less due to the sloped roof, and in the EX90, it's more due to its boxier shape. And the range, the Polestar 3 has the more aerodynamic design, it has more range, and the Volvo has less of that design. It's boxier, it does not have that aerodynamic range. Plus, I do think they're designed a little bit more for performance and comfort. So that is a bit of a wrap up on the Polestar 3 being produced in the US. It is definitely something that I think we're going to continue to see is more automakers and really anyone in the EV world bringing their manufacturing to America on American soil to take advantage of incentives for their customers and also to be able to access this market in a strong way. We see EV charging manufacturers also moving over into the US as this market is proving to be one that is matured enough to start advancing in with the EV adoption rates, as well as the hefty federal incentives. Let me know, are you interested in the Polestar 3? Have you compared it with the Volvo options? I do think that Polestar is a cool option, and it's good to see that they're starting production over here on the East Coast of the US. Let me know your questions. Let me know what's on your mind when it comes to Polestar and Volvo, and I will talk to you soon on another episode. Have a great rest of your day. Drive safely, stay charged. See you next time. Bye bye.